Hi, today we're going to talk about flowing or note-taking in debate. So why do we do flowing in debate? Flowing is the type of note-taking that helps you organize your speeches in a debate round. It allows you to answer every single argument and allows you to have your own speeches make sense for the judge and for your opponents. So first you want to actually set up your flows before the round even begins. So if this piece of paper was going to be my flow, I would set it up like this. Now I have one column per speech. There are 8 speeches in the total round, so you're actually going to need 2 pieces of paper to do this. In addition, when you actually know who's pro and con in the round, I would label the speeches with that as well. This helps you keep track of who's speaking in the round, and it will also help you keep track of like if it's a pro speaking or a con, and this can be helpful in the middle of a round. So what do you actually want to write during the round? You want to write down the points, of course, and the arguments that you are making and that your opponent is making. So if you speak first, or your partner is, you want to actually keep track of your own arguments on the flow. This will help you keep track of what you've said during the round and what points you have made. When your opponent is speaking, you also want to write down the arguments they make and the answers, of course, to the arguments that you made that they have. So you want to write that down as well. Most importantly, when you're writing down your opponent's points and arguments, you want to write down the warrants for what they're saying. That is, you want to know the reasons for why they're making the points that they do. This is what, again, you're going to be attacking in your own speeches. In addition, if you can, you want to try to write down your opponent's sources so that you can try to see if their sources are biased, or you can compare their sources to your own and why, of course, yours are better. But I think most importantly, again, you want to try to get those warrants or reasons for their arguments before you worry about their sources. So if your opponents don't speak that clearly or they're speaking really fast, focus on getting those warrants first. So what do you actually want to write? We've already talked about this a little bit, but you want to be writing down all arguments in the round, arguments your opponents are making, and of course the arguments they make to answer your arguments. One easy way to keep track of the arguments that are being made in a round is to use arrows. So for instance here, we're talking about this first argument, I would connect it with an arrow. Let's say, however, that your opponents are not as organized as you are, and they answer your second argument at the very end of their own speech. So now it's out of order. You can use arrows again to keep track of that argument, even if that arrow is no longer a straight line. Finally, let's say that your opponent drops an argument. If you have that argument on your flow, you're able to circle it, such as I did with argument 3 here, and that will help you keep track of which arguments were dropped by the other team. You, of course, since you have an organized flow, shouldn't drop any arguments. So that's another advantage of the flow, is that since you can see all the arguments going on very clearly, you don't drop anything because you know what arguments are still in the round. Then you can extend, of course, arguments that your opponents have dropped into your next speeches and leverage that to help you win the debate. Another thing that the flow helps you do is plan out your future speeches. So say there's a cross-ex, or even during your opponent's speech you have a fabulous answer to their argument. On your next speech you can write down that point, such as I did in the third speech here for argument 1, and extend out your argument. So it helps you plan out your next speech as well. And then when you go up to give your speech, you can of course bring your flow and read off your flow to give all your answers and arguments to your opponent. This will help your speech be more organized, and it will probably help you think more clearly as well. So some other flowing tips. When you're flowing, you want to actually practice this before you go into a round. Do a practice round with your partner, or even watch a random YouTube video and see how well you can flow what's going on. Watch a famous speech or a presidential debate. Practicing your flowing helps you in the debate round because you're ready to flow. You know how you like to organize your arguments. You know how you like to organize your flow. You know if arrows work best for you, if they don't. And just practicing flowing, the better you're going to get at it. So I'd highly recommend doing some flowing exercises by yourself or with a partner or with your debate team. Second, you want to flow all speeches. Even if you're not speaking next, or if you're done speaking in the round, you still want to flow speeches so that your partner can use your flow if they missed an argument or if they want to make sure that you guys heard the same thing. In addition, it looks better in the round both to your opponents and a judge if you're flowing and paying attention. It shows more respect, and that of course helps you in the round. You want to write neatly on your flow. If your handwriting isn't that great, again, that's the reason you want to practice flowing, because if you can't read your flow, it's not going to be helpful, and again, it makes it more probable you might drop a argument. Finally, a lot of times on a flow, you're trying to flow your opponent and they're speaking, again, not clearly or too fast, and you want to make sure that you have abbreviations you can use in order to keep up with what's being said in the round. So a really great one, for instance, is people say government all the time in the debate, and instead of flowing that every time, you might write GOV, you might just write gov. However, if you're going to use abbreviations like this, make sure that you know what the abbreviation means so that you don't get confused on your own flow. Hopefully this will help you. Good luck in your debates. Good luck with flowing.